All right, so now we're looking at estimating. Okay, so if I am looking at the square root of 99, that is going to be difficult to do just in my head. So sometimes a number is really close to a perfect square, so its square root is really close to that whole number. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to round this number to the nearest whole number by finding a perfect square that's close to the number under the square root sign. So I'm going to use this symbol here. Let's take a better look at it up here. Now, this is an equal sign. What an equal sign means is anything that's on this side is equal to anything that is on this side. It does not mean that if this is 9 plus 6, it does not mean answer goes here. That's not what it means. It means anything on one side is equivalent to anything on the other side. That's where the word equals comes from, right? So this sign here, the little wavy sign, does not mean that there's water nearby. It means that this is approximately. So it means we're estimating and that the number is not exact. So I'm going to get to the closest perfect square, which is 100, right? Then I can evaluate that, and I know that that answer is 10. So I know 99 is smaller than 100, so on a number line, I know it's going to be somewhere in between 9 and 10, but it's going to be closer to 10. All right, having a look here. Okay, same thing. I just want you to do both of these questions, pause the video, do it in your notebook, and figure out what the closest perfect square is and evaluate that. All right, so the closest perfect square to 37 is 36, so that would be 6. 37 is bigger than 36, so I know that this is going to be between 6 and 7. The square root of 49 is the closest perfect square to 51, so then I know that the answer there is 7. 49 is smaller than 51, so that I know on a number line the answer to this question is going to be somewhere in between 7 and 8. Okay, so moving along here. Now, we were talking in the last video about the square root of 13. So we were talking about how the square root of 13 is going to be in between 3 and 4, but we never really figured out yet where yet. So I want you to have a look at this, and I want you to make a prediction. Do you think it's going to be closer to 3 or closer to 4? Okay, so pause the video, and I actually really want you to consider this based on what you know. Okay, so I'm not going to give away the answer yet, but I do know that anything past 3.5, right, on this side is going to be bigger, and this side is going to be closer to 4 and closer to 3, right? So let's compare the square root, 3.5 squared to 13. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply 3.5 by itself, right? And that is going to be 12.25. Okay. So if I'm looking at this, I am knowing that 3 times 3 is 9, right? And so this one is closer to 13. So if I'm looking at 3 times 3, so that's 9, and I'm looking at 13 here, 12.25 is going to be closer to 13. So I know that it's going to be on this side and closer to the 4. Okay, so the nearest whole number to the square root of 13 is going to be 4. Okay, so I have some questions here. I want you to have a look at them. I want you to see if you can figure out what the closest whole number is going to be. So pause the video. Okay, so I know that the closest is going to be 36 because I know 8 times 8, or sorry, 6 times 6 is 36, and 5 times 5 is 25. So I'm only 4 away from 36, whereas I am further away from 25. I'm 7 away, right? So I know that I'm going to be closer to 6 on that number line. Okay, so the square root of 33, again, I got 36 there. I am going to be closer. And this one, if I'm going to put these in order, obviously, this one is going to be closer. Now, what if I had a look at the square root of 29? Should I be using the square root of 25 or the square root of 26? Or the square root of 36? So we're only 4 numbers away on a number line from here, and we're 7 away from here. So we would use the square root of 25. And we would be closer to 5 on the number line than we would be to 6. Okay, the same with all of these. And as we get closer and closer and further away from the square root of 25, the closer and closer and closer we're going to get to the number 6 on that number line. Okay, so if I'm looking at this and I'm going to plot 32, the square root of 32 would be somewhere in here. The square root of 33 would be somewhere in here. 34, square root of 35, okay, and then the square root of 36 would be right here. Okay, obviously I'm not drawing this to scale. And then the square root of 29 is going to be somewhere over here closer. And then I'm going to go to square root of 28, 27, 26, right? And then the square root of 25 would hold the same place as the number 5 on the number line. All right, so now this is a little chart that I made to kind of give you the visual. Okay, so I just want you to point your attention to the numbers that I colored. So the blue, red, green, and yellow. So I want you to notice that those are all perfect squares. Now, this visual, obviously, the closest, whoopsies, the closest perfect square to 1 is obviously 1, right? Now, is the square root of 2, is it going to be closer to this, to the square root of 1, or the square root of 4, which is 2, right? So the closest whole number is going to be 1. Now, looking at the square root of 3, the closest whole number, okay, is going to be 2, okay, because I'm square rooting these. So it's going to be closer to 2. I'm not saying the square root of 3 is 2. I'm saying it's closer to 2 on a number line. So if I'm drawing out the number 9, okay, so this is 1, is also equal to the square root of 1. This is 2, somewhere in here, okay, closer to this side is the square root of 2, somewhere in there, and closer to this side is going to be the square root of 3, and this is obviously the square root of 4. Okay, so that's what I'm doing right here. Now, if I look at the next section, there's the square root of 9, which is 3, right? And then if I look at these numbers, I know anything on this side is going to be closer to 3, and anything on the other side is going to be closer to 2. Okay, same here. Anything on this side is going to be closer to 3, and anything on the other side is going to be closer to 4 on the number line.